Guys, I messed up. I messed up seriously, I hurt myself, and I'd like to share my reflections on that with you. Welcome to Flight Coach. If you're new here, my name is Bas van Duin, and it is my mission to help you get more out of life and your flying career through having less stress and more skills. So what happened? Well, initially it didn't look very bad, but I made a poor call when landing. I made a wrong decision, and that caused me to really get hurt. I'll first show you the footage, because there's actual video footage of the flight. Now, if you take a look here, you see it all looks pretty normal until the last few seconds, at which I really hurt both of my knees. I came out too low, I did the wrong timing on the landing. This video is not intended to discuss all the technicalities of landing, but more the mental reflection process on how I got to be where I am now. So the damage report from my physiotherapist is quite severe actually. On both of my knees I partially ruptured the tendons on the sides. The ligament, if I'm using the correct term, on the front of one of my knees is still heavily inflamed, swollen. That's still taking time to recover, it still hurts. And there is also damage to the bone heads. That's the top of the bone of both of my lower legs. They have been severely bruised. So yeah, I'm actually quite a bonehead, I would say. There is a possibility that the inside of my left knee is also injured. The meniscus might be damaged. So this January I'll be going for an MRI scan and see if internal injury has also occurred. So I wanted to share with you the thought process I had when making this landing. How could I get to this point? Because I remember like 2 or 3 weeks before going on that specific trip, I made this video about the steps of doom. And I remember discussing that when you get to a certain level of progression, risks start increasing again. And I even shared, if I recall correctly, that I am at one of those steps now. So that I should be paying extra attention. And yet this still happened to me. So I did some reflecting in the months past, and I thought it would be worthwhile maybe sharing that. Maybe you can pick something up, maybe you can learn something from it. If only one person can take something out of it, I think it would be worthwhile sharing. So a bit of context that always lives in the back of my mind. I have never ever once hurt myself when making a landing. Now don't get me wrong, as a student pilot I was full on kamikaze style on takeoff. It was wild, it was uncontrolled. When flying I did not have much respect for the circumstances, for the amount of brake input. I actually managed to put my glider into a spin in my very first week of paragliding training. I think I've progressed a bit since then, luckily. But I'm happy to say that I never was one of the people that left like craters in the landing field. And in the over 2,000 solo landings I've done up until now, and the few hundred tandem pilot landings I've done, only a handful of those flights I did not manage to land on my feet. So I think I'm pretty proficient at landing. That's something that always lives in the back of my brain. And what I wanted to do is make a nice sort of mini swoop at the end of my landing to flare it out horizontally, maybe make a bit of a foot drag, as I'm usually playing with the glider in mild conditions as we're present in this point in time. Let me show you a quick video of how I normally try to land. It goes a bit like this. So I had that in my mind, and when I got close to the landing, a few seconds before touching down, I noticed this is not going to work. I do not have enough energy in the wing to flare it out like that. I'm gonna hit the ground sooner than I expected. And even though when I noticed this is not going to be the landing that I want to make, I still wanted to try and save face and not land on my ass, but at least end up standing on my feet. So with a lot of force, I tried getting my legs underneath my body while I was still moving forward at a relatively high speed. Yeah, so looking back on what happened, not to dwell on the technicalities too much, because of course we can find out a lot of things that I could have done different to make this a great landing, but that's not the point of this episode for me. But when realizing that this was going to be a messed up landing, I should have chosen the safer option. I think I should have chosen to make an ass landing, because as you can see, the vertical speed was not high at all. The forward speed was relatively high, but the vertical speed was very low. So my airbag could have taken that impact easily without getting damaged or any problems to my body whatsoever. The problem, and I'm almost ashamed to admit it, the problem was not that I did not see or contemplate these options. The problem was that I refused to do those things because I thought it would look bad. And now see what I got. The actual reason for me making this episode about this video is caused by the fact that this video was made. Or actually by my response to it, of course. So what did I learn? Well, I learned another new and improved lesson on respect, because I think that is the root cause of what happened here. I did not have enough respect for me being in that landing situation, which is, no matter how you put it, it is always a critical point in your flight in which you should be full on in the game. But I was not in the game. I should have been more focused. I can remember my state of mind at that moment in time, and I was thinking about going to the bar with my buddy and having a beer. I was contemplating my next YouTube episode. I was full on autopilot. And I think that's a bad thing to be doing. And I should be more aware, for me personally, for the effects of me being filmed. Because that's actually something that happens very rarely when I'm flying. I'm usually not flying with GoPros or 360 sticks. And when I'm teaching, people are not there for me. They're there for their own development. They're filming each other sometimes, but I'm hardly ever the guy that ends up on pictures or on camera. So that made it extra special for me that someone was filming me. And in the future, I should be more aware of the effect it can have on me, on my decision making when I'm being filmed. Because I wanted to make it look good, and that's why I made different decisions than I would have when not being filmed. And I'm an absolute ass for that. So this is already the last episode of the year in which I started on YouTube, and I absolutely love it. But I could not have done it without you. I love the interaction. I love the way this is all developing. So thanks for coming along for the ride. For next year, I got some things going on that I've been working on for quite a while, but will all be revealed in due time. Thought it would be a nice idea to end this episode next to our completely over-the-top Christmas tree and wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Or if you're one of the millions of people out there not celebrating Christmas, I hope you have a great week. I wish you all a very happy New Year. See you next time. See you in the air.